Hi, welcome for our RTL online trainings and placements. This is about Fusion Financials batch, which we are going to start an online. And I'm going to explain here the syllabus copy, which we are going to talk about in RTL Technologies. So when we talk about Fusion Financials, we'll be discussing first General Ledger. We'll be talking about first Fusion General Ledger module. In General Ledger module, we'll go ahead with all setups and transactions. After that, we'll talk about account payables module, then accounts receivables, cash management, fixed assets, Fusion expenses module, and Fusion taxes module. These all modules we are going to discuss end to end complete. We are going to discuss the setups. First, we'll start with the general ledger. In general ledger module, we are going to configure the complete enterprise structure, ledger setup, and perform journals, auto reversal journals, okay, and automatic posting. And then we'll talk about the cross validation rules, security rules, how we can go for perform all this. We are going to discuss. So for every module, first we'll be configuring the setups, sequence of steps which we'll perform. These are mandatory setups if we work for any client in the world. So that we have to configure, we have to gather the requirement, and then we have to go for configure this here. And then we will be having the testing of the product. It means, for example, we configure the ledger, then we are supposed to test it by creating a sample journal and then posting, how we can work with the approvals for the journal, how we can upload the journals by using a spreadsheet as well as FBDA, how we can configure foreign currencies, reverse journal setup, data access setup, security rules setup, cross validation rules, ledger setups, data access set, reporting currencies, secondary ledger, right? Auto posting, reversal setups and process, this all will be discussing. But this revelation, translation, consolidation setups and process, GL period, closing process, this all will discuss once we start with account payables, receivables module. Because if we want to do it, those things, first we have to complete some of the setups and transactions from these modules, and then we'll try to work with the GL module. Okay, so that's how it's going to be the first one module. Then once general ledger module is done, then we'll start with account payables module. We'll be performing complete account payables end-to-end setups right from beginning of the business units. After that, working with the payment terms, and then working with our distribution sets, legislative data groups. This all we are going to perform here. And then once we do this, then we'll try to perform the transactions like invoices, credit memo, debit memo. And we are also going to have bills, payables, third-party invoices, recurring invoice, securities. This all will be discussing. Once we complete this account payables, then we'll enter into the accounts receivables. In account receivables, we'll talk about transactions, customer transaction setups, and customer setup, customer profile class. And then we'll talk about receipt classes and receipt methods. This all will be discussing setups, and then we'll perform the transactions, types of invoices, methods, and payments. Sorry, receivings, different types of receivings. This all. Then we'll try to create accounting transactions and transfer to GL. This all we are going to perform here. And once account receivable is completed, these three modules are not much complex. Cash management, of course, it is integrated with our account payables as well as account receivables. We are going to have this, and then we are going to have the fixed assets module, assets implementation, and expenses module, and another module is a tax module. So total we are going to talk about 7 modules, full-fledged end-to-end implementation. We'll be discussing general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable, cash management, fixed assets, and expenses module, as well as the taxes module. All this we are going to discuss. Okay, so here, excuse me, sorry. Whenever we are working with this functional task, will come up with the 2 cycles, business cycles. One is procure to pay, another one is order to cash. This is required because when we go for an interview, they'll be asking, because you are a functional consultant, you are working last 3 or 4 years, then you must be knowing that, right? How you know the procurement process and order, sales order process. So both the cycles will be discussing here. High level business flow. We don't work with the in-depth of procurement setups and all. We'll just go ahead with the process, like how we'll do procure to pay, same thing, and order to cash. Order to cash, we'll just go through it. Next, we need some basic information about the technical part. Even though we are functional consultant, we should have some basic idea like personalizations, how we can perform conversions like data migration from legacy systems into the application. We'll find here a BDA options and security console, as well as the approval management, functional setup manager, FSM, and BPM. Nothing but approvals process. FSM is the basic, right? We'll be doing setup and maintenance. That's an admin part that we are going to have. And then BI reports, we'll have one BI report, how it can be registered as ESS job and OTBI analysis. And we'll be doing data conversions and migrations. Okay. So this is the syllabus, what we are going to do in our RTL online training for Fusion Financials batch, which we are going to start today. And this is the contact number for any inquiries. Immediately you can communicate with this. And when we are doing this training program, every session will be recorded and shared, and we'll provide the cloud access. Earlier it was 6 months. Now we made it as 9 months. You can get, and every batch will have a WhatsApp group will be creating. I'm also the part of that WhatsApp group, so that when you are doing practice, if you get any doubts, I'll be able to reply for you guys with the screenshots or any other voice messages. And during this training itself, we'll talk about the project phases. What are the different phases we have project? And then what documentation templates we'll be preparing in our training, and how we can go for prepare our profile after completion of this training. If we are applying as 3+ or 4+, I'll explain you the resume preparation and interview preparations. And we'll provide you the sample profile so that you can go through and modify your profile according to that. And we'll provide you some FAQs so that FAQs, I can say almost whatever we are discussing, every point, every session is important. We don't have anything theoretical part, because our training will go ahead complete a practical oriented for interview point of view, as well as the project point of view. We are going to perform this here. Okay, so that's about the training Fusion Financials, which we are starting from today. That's the flow for financials. What are the syllabus we are going to cover? So during that, in case, for example, if you get a new concept or doubts or questions, if you ask, like in the interview, they have asked something like a new concept, then I'll be able to give the answer. So because as I said, this WhatsApp group is going to be live forever. So we'll be able to communicate, we'll be able to work with all this WhatsApp group. Always it will be there. As soon as you attend for an interview, if you get any questions which you are not able to answer, which are not covered in our training, you can post it in WhatsApp group. Then I can go for reply so that it will be clear for the next interview. It will be clear for the next interview. Okay. Thank you.